Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Guys Talking Pies. Tom O'Neill, A&M Friendly Movers.
Joey Mazza with the Pennyworth Group.
Chris Patille, Saucey's Pizza.
Just a couple guys talking pies, sitting down. We did sweet pies on the first episode, savory on the second.
Love it.
What do we got going on today, Chris?
So today I made for you our signature sweet and sassy, which is mozzarella cheese. I threw a little bit of Parmesan on there as well. We have grilled chicken, ranch, and our house favorite, sweet and sassy sauce, which is basically like a Thai chili blend.
Okay.
It's got the sweet and it's got the little sassy.
Non-traditional?
Non-traditional.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
A little traditional pie, a little non-traditional pie.
I like to mix it up a little bit. You know, you got your normal pepperoni. Now, granted, that's not the everyday pepperoni you're getting at Domino's.
Okay.
That is deli-style pepperoni right there.
All right.
More expensive product, better taste, in my opinion.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So, so this thing all came about, and I don't know how much you guys know, but a friend of mine, he had worked in real estate.
Okay.
Bought pies for all of his guys. Conversation came up, what's your favorite kind of pie?
Love it.
My first question is savory pie or regular pie?
Right.
And we did the first one on the sweet pie, and here we are going savory.
Okay.
So just kind of talking business, talking pies, and seeing what happens.
Love it.
Right. Joey, you business coach, right? Or
Coach, consultant.
okay.
We do both.
All right.
There is a difference.
Okay.
But we do both.
All right. Crust is the structure for a pizza. What's a good structure for a business?
A good structure is having a core value
Okay.
and then expanding on it to probably 3 to 5. Because if your business has no foundation, it falls apart like a building. If you have no crust, it falls apart like a bad pizza.
Bad pizza, right? So, I mean, how do you think you're just kind of core value, the foundation? Like, is that something you have to find it? Is it industry specific? Is it something that you're born with? How does that come to be?
I think depending on the industry you're in, you definitely want to probably look into it. I mean, you're competing with a lot of other people no matter what industry you're in. But I think as a person, I mean, if you're going to start a business or if you have a business and you're trying to expand it, you got to have some core values. I mean, it's kind of like guys have a code. It's like the business needs the core values or it starts to get flimsy because people start taking liberties. And that leads into your culture. So you got to have the values first to create a culture for your business. So
What's a good starting point there for a business that's just getting started?
I would think brainstorming, kind of like taking a lot in, like thinking about a lot of self-reflection before you get started. I mean, you know, a lot of people just want to, I'm good at this, I want to start making money. And it's like, slow down for a second. I mean, we know you can make money, but is it sustainable? Because if it's not sustainable, you don't have a business then.
So just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you're good at running a business that involves it, right?
I mean, yeah, here's an example. I'm really good at collecting Batman stuff, ain't I?
That's what we hear.
Not making any money from it.
But I mean, even industry specific. I mean, just because you're a good plumber doesn't mean you'd be good at running
A business.
Absolutely, absolutely, 100%.
How about you? How'd you get into? I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Which one you want?
Which one to talk about?
Which one you want? So I'll throw you a little bit of both, right?
All right.
So I am a mortgage lender by trade. The pizza is just a front now. So a lot of people joke around and say mortgage by day, pizza by night, right? So I've been doing mortgages now for 13 years. I got into it when I graduated college at Penn State, which we were talking about earlier.
True Penn State alum, so
Love it.
on Westchester campus. So
yeah, my pizza shop was here. So I started off at ING Direct, right? Got into sales right away. It was weird because I was good at it, right? I started selling things, checking accounts, business accounts, CDs, etc. It led to my mortgage career, and I turned out to be one of the top mortgage lenders and then transferred over to Capital One 360 that they had. So a buddy of mine left Capital One and was like, hey, Chris, you know, you should come over to this company with me because it's where real mortgage people work.
Oh,
I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I thought I was doing good. You know, I graduated making $29,000 a year. I was getting like a $700 monthly incentive, and I was like, I'm killing it. So fast forward 13 years, I'm a regional manager across country. I have 3 branches under me in Central PA, Maryland, and Virginia. And I've got about 15 loan officers that work for me directly. So one of the cool things about being here at Saucey's is similar to what you were talking about on how you started doing this podcast. When I was back at Guaranteed Rate, one of the top guys, his name was Sean, and he would do sales calls with everybody once a month. And the guy would go out on a Friday, pick up 10 pies and take it to his realtor's offices and start doing business, right? So the whole time I'm like, that could be me, that could be me. So a buddy of mine back in Newark owns Cacciatore's. So the closest I got to that was I sponsored his pizza boxes. And it was Chris Patille, guaranteed rate mortgage, give me a call, yada, yada, yada. 3 years after that, a buddy of mine that I went to Penn State with, we all come back once a month, go out for dinner. We would always end up here at Saucey's.
Okay.
Drunk, looking for pizza.
Not a bad place to be.
Which happens.
Yeah.
And he's like, Chris, Saucey's is for sale. I was like, that's cool. And he's like, no, like you should buy it. And I'm like, right. Like what do I know about the restaurant business? I don't know anything. I'm a mortgage guy. I'm great with sales. I'm really good with numbers. Forget about it.
Pizza sells itself.
Pizza sells itself is what they tell me. So 6 months later, I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I've made a lot of bad decisions and irrational purchases, but I'm like, this makes sense. It allows me to use Saucey's as a marketing platform for the mortgage company. So any mortgage event that I attend, I normally have Saucey's piggyback as a sponsor. Very true to BNI as well. We did a BNI event, Saucey sponsored it. So it's now taken more credibility, I guess, on the marketing side because I'm using it for the mortgage side. So I'm bringing business and I'm referring it back and forth between the two companies. Mm-hmm. And I'm somehow here as Batman, mortgage by day and pizza by night.
Well, symbiotic relationship.
I know, right?
All right.
It's crazy.
So mortgage or pies, where is Chris in 10 years?
Oh, so goal in 10 years would be still doing mortgages because that's what I love. But I would be hoping to have a few other locations. And I would hopefully be franchising it at that point. One of the good things about Saucey is we're on a college town. We're in campus, right? We're there. We're in the thick of it. We have a line out the door Friday night, Saturday night till 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's just a good experience. People come here, they try pizza that they've never had before anywhere else. So the sweet and sassy, that's a staple. I've had a guy bring a DoorDash order in and said, make me a pizza out of this. And we chopped up McChickens, French fries, nuggets, and we put it all in a pizza.
Like the Aki way, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I get to express my culinary creativity at times when during the day I'm just running numbers. So it's kind of like this is my happy space, right? When I'm stressed out with mortgages, things aren't going right, whatever. I come here, I throw some dough around, and I make something delicious.
It's amazing. So family, big part of the business, right? Big driver. For me, it was a driver, right? So I'm a serial entrepreneur as well. My whole life. Neil as a people are pretty shitty employees. So we end up, finding ourselves in these positions where we kind of have to work for ourselves.
Right.
I've always been able to succeed. Like I touch something, I just do all right with it. You know what I mean? And I can succeed and I can do as well as I can. For me, it wasn't until I started to have a family that I had to become, I had a 5-year ticket. That's what I had before. You know what I mean? I could do something for 3 years, maybe 5, and then I had to move on. Now that I have a family, I started to get a little bit more vision as to what long-term looks like. How's that a driver for you, I guess, Joe?
Eat or be eaten. They'll have a choice. Family's really important. I spent a lot of time with Michelle with the other business, and then we kind of separated from it, and now I'm trying to bring her back. So it means a lot because we work well together, and you want to surround yourself by people that you trust and know can produce. As much as I trust my wife, she can produce. So, so it means a lot. And, I got a daughter in law school, and, you think about all the people that go to law school, become attorneys, and they don't like being a lawyer. And I'm like, this business is almost set up for someone like my daughter to take it over and go to the next level, and she doesn't even know it yet, but it's there. I could see it 15 years out. And I'm
so you think that was a driver to transition out of cleaning? And then, Joey used to have a cleaning business. But
no, I think the driver to get out of it was just I think we outgrew it. Okay. I think it just wasn't what we wanted to do. It's like a restaurant. Depending on how it's set up, it's cleaning's a young person's game. It's if stuff goes bad and you got to help out, it's extremely physical. Even if you got somebody there to lead people, and guide them. It's if you got to jump in, it's physical. Like and you deal with a lot of entry level staff. So it's it's nice to have it, but at the same time, it's I think the shift to going white collar was just time. It was just where it just was working its way out. And quite frankly, I didn't start the cleaning business, so I came into it. So it was never really my passion. So
it's understandable. Not passionate about moving. Helping people, love helping people, right?
There you
know
go.
what I mean? And I've worked in all different aspects of home sales, rentals, sales, property management, mortgages, refi, soulless shit. I did the refinance, the heck'em.
Yep.
Don't judge me.
No.
Don't judge me.
There's money there.
Good product if it's done correctly.
Correct.
Right? I ended up on the bad side of it where you're actually explaining to people. But the helping part of that process has always been something that drove me, right? Being part of that kind of major life event is pretty cool, and moving is at the end of that, right? So for us, it's really cool because it's the least involved piece, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the sales process now today is a year, 2, 3, right? And you don't know how long that's going to extend with the inventory issues.
Right.
With what we do, we're there for maybe 2 or 3 days. Like a long move is 3 days. But to what you were saying, having to jump in, I mean, I ended up on the back of a truck the other day. I can still move furniture, I found out. I don't walk very well the next day.
Right.
But I can still do it. So I guess the driver for the family piece is like putting the business in a position where it can grow. Right.
Legacy.
Legacy stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You said 2 kids?
2 kids. Yeah, so my son comes up, he'll help make pizza boxes, he'll jump up on the counter and sprinkle some cheese on there for me, and he loves it. He's the biggest advocate of Saucey's, and he will not eat other pizza if it's not Saucey's at sometimes, which his mother does not like, but you know what? He's a good kid and he's learning it. So.
You raised him well.
Right, for sure. But I mean, it all brings it back to family, like my biggest influence in my life was always my father. My father was self-employed for 35 years, ran a construction company. I was pushing a broom when I was in 8th grade, working 40 hours a week, taking orders from people twice my age.
Construction. They call that the idiot side of the broom.
It was the idiot side of the broom, which I learned.
Yeah.
But then it went from pushing a broom to working on roofs to operating dump trucks to working excavators, digging ditches and stuff like that. So I got a plethora of knowledge from it, and everything from that to me relates back here. If something's broken, I'm not paying somebody to fix it. I'm jumping in and fixing it, but it's also, I got all of that from my family. So now it's my job to pass that along to my family. So both my sons, when they get old enough and they're able to work in a pizza shop, I mean, it's a great experience. You get to meet a ton of people. Networking is basically a networking spot on Friday night.
Sure.
So it's all been good stuff.
Yeah. My kids love my son's 8. He's like, when can I go on the truck? Right. I'm like, not soon enough, buddy.
Right. It's coming though.
But a lot of it has to do with the culture too, right? So being raised in that environment, that entrepreneurial environment, you were too, right? Your dad was in that. No, not serial entrepreneur?
I'm not serial entrepreneur. I mean, well, I am now, but I didn't grow up that way.
Okay.
But so your kids wanted to do stuff. My kids, when we had a cleaning service, they didn't really want to help out. Like once they
Our kids are still young though.
Yeah. But when they were young, listen, it was kind of fun. Like, we got the first carpet machine, to push on it. But after 5 minutes of doing that, it's really hard.
Right.
They're like, I'm done. And then we took the kids, I think, one night to clean some office. And my son was like, this sucks. Like he's like, I'm not doing this.
Right.
And, my daughter would be the first one to help out. As a family, helping out.
Sure.
But she'll tell you she don't like doing it. And right there, you just know how hard that business is because listen, you clean something up, you make it organized, it looks nice, and they're like, it's not a pizza shop, it's not fun, it's not getting up and down on a truck, it's a grind, and it's like, you know what? Both of them said, we'll never take over this business.
Yeah. My boy practices picking up chairs still. Every once in a while I'm just sitting there, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just picking up chairs. I think I'll be ready by summer.
I love that though. That is motivation. That is what the economy needs right now. Sure. They need people who are dedicated to what they're doing and are excited about it.
And then the other part that would drive in, even at the family level, is culture, right? Like you were talking about. It's not the guys who work for us; it's the guys that work with us.
Correct.
You know, I'm sure A&M is nothing without the guys that go out. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to go and service 100 moves a month. There's no way I'm doing
Right.
it.
There's just not enough
I'm
time.
not going to service 20 moves a month. You know, I'd probably make more money if I did it myself and hired 2 guys. But that's not what I'm here for. You know. So yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch it grow. You know, it's fun to have some mentorship along the way with that as well.
Yeah, it's nice.
Love it.
So let me ask you this: somebody in your industry, right? I'm going to go to you, Chris. Are you willing to help somebody who's in the mortgage industry?
Always.
Is it shop talk, or are you going to give them the secret sauce?
So I've given the secret sauce out, and it doesn't matter because nobody can be me, right? I obviously bring energy. I bring 13 years of knowledge. I know my way around a mortgage, a 1003, whatever. So I could give you the tools to do exactly what I do, but you'll never be able to do it the same way as me. So when I'm helping somebody out, and again, I've got 15 people on my team that are all doing their mortgages. So we're all in a very small state in Delaware, but granted, we branch out because we're all licensed in a bunch of states. But I give everybody everything that I've ever been taught on any sales call. I give them how to do it, where to do it, what I need to do it as far as equipment goes, if I'm doing marketing or videos or whatever, how much money I'm spending on my brand, whether it be shirts, hoodies, etc. I give that to everybody.
Okay.
How many people follow that and actually use it? Very little.
I mean,
Less than 10%. Less than 10% will actually do it. So to me, I'm not worried about giving out any secrets because, again, we have different personalities. You and I have different personalities when it comes to the mortgage game.
You guys, obviously.
I mean, I have a small portion of Irish. It's very small.
I mean, if we combine our Irish, we may be close to. Maybe. I don't know. We don't have that much, I guess.
Right. I'm at like 6%.
Yeah, I'm probably the
You guys
same.
got a vowel in the wrong spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. It's all paisan on this side.
All potato over here.
Right.
So I mean, I'm the same way, man. I don't, I literally ended up on a call with a kid yesterday. He's like, man, I just started a moving company and I bid a job based on what you said and how'd you do that?
Right.
Right. So it's like, let's have the conversation.
Right.
At the end of it, oh man, they don't know we're closed on Monday.
We're closed on Monday.
At the end of the conversation, he says, man, I would pay you to have another conversation. I'm like, well, we're all in this together. You know what I mean? Like, I can't service all the moves, right?
Right.
You can't service all the mortgages. You can't make all the pies. You can't help all the businesses, and I don't want to either. You know what I mean? I want to do enough to be able to help my family out.
For
you
sure.
know what I mean? Like, but I don't need to be everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm all for trying to help other businesses. I mean, obviously that's your business model.
That's your key, right? Like, that's your shtick. That's your whole thing.
I mean, I'm there to help. That's
Right.
it. Simple as that.
Right.
And I'll tell them everything.
And like, you got the shirt for it as well.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's May the 5th. I mean, a little late on the.
Revenge of the Sixth.
It's still funny.
I mean, I can do it today. It's a 6th, ain't it?
It is a 6th.
Oh,
Revenge of the
I don't know anything.
Sixth. Except
about
this is the good guy. So
Right.
I
He's
don't
always
a bad
thinking
guy.
I don't know anything about this stuff.
You don't know Star Wars?
Very little.
No Star Wars?
No, man. I was never into like the pop culture stuff for whatever reason. Plus, we didn't have cable TV when I was growing up, so we didn't. There wasn't a lot. I played with dirt. You know what I mean? I was dirt.
I was right there with you.
Yeah. I mean, trying to get kids out to play now, it's like a punishment. You know what I mean? Like being in the house was a punishment when I was a kid. Now,
Right.
Like, getting out of the
I think
house.
this is how they play, right? Hold on.
That's it. iPads, cell phones, TVs.
Unbelievable, man.
My
That's how
son
they play.
gets like 30 minutes of TV a night, and like that's it. If not, he's outside playing baseball. He's playing tag. He's jumping around in his bounce house downstairs. Like, I never had that. It was when the street light's on, your ass is home, period.
Right, church bell.
Or my
church
mother
bell,
would
fire
yell one
hydrant.
time.
Yeah.
If it took 2, I was in trouble.
Depending on the time of year, right? So you had to
Yeah.
be home by the church bell for dinner.
Love it.
Then you could go back out, and then you're allowed out until the street lights
Yeah.
came on. And I don't know how they calculated that because sometimes I was pretty far away.
Right. Like, it might be 10:30 and that light's still going. I'm like, oh, should I be home or not?
Uncannily far, like probably unsafely far away from where I lived.
Yeah.
As a child.
I didn't have to tell time. My mom would be like, she just picked the time. She didn't give a shit about that dark stuff.
Just straight up.
It was like 7:45 or 8 o'clock or 8:15. Like, it was be home by then. Like,
Yeah.
'cause that's what my dad would do. He would stare at the clock. He didn't look outside. He'd stare at the clock. And he would tell my mom what time he had to be back, and it's like you'd have to make sure you had a watch or someone.
Somebody.
Does anyone wear it? If you knew someone was wearing a watch, you were golden.
Right.
Because then you'd be like, all right, you just ask them the time.
If not, you're like guessing, and you're either too early, and then you're like, I could have played for 40 more minutes, or you're like, all right, mom's gonna have my ass for 20 minutes.
And we got grounded back then, so you didn't want to be late because you'd be grounded.
Like, you had to stay in the house.
And oh yeah, and I don't think kids today get grounded.
No.
So
grounded is like a.
Are you even allowed to ground children these days, or is that like a violation of like parental control?
I don't know. Because now my kids are adults.
I read a thing not too long ago, which I loved it anyway. Up until like the mid 1800s, you could mail a child.
Wow.
You could just put stamps on them and put them in the post office, and they would take them to where you wanted them to go.
That's actually fantastic.
It's like a vacation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
All right, we'll see you on Tuesday.
Down to Chicago with like return stamps.
That's great. Send it back when you're done with it.
Let them spend the summer out there.
Right.
So business growth is always a big thing, right? Marketing, huge piece.
Marketing.
Branding.
Branding is key, man.
Okay.
If I could spend money on anything today, like if I had to start over, right? You guys took the mortgage business away from me. You guys took Saucey's back. If somebody were to say, Chris, what would you focus on first? And I would say branding. And I would say branding myself to be towards whatever business it is, whether I got into moving, whether I got into cleaning, whatever it would be, I would come up with a brand and then I would put marketing power behind that. Because people work with Chris Patille because they know the service I bring and they know I eat, breathe, and sleep mortgages, right? You're not going to get another guy that's going to outwork me, period. Because that's just not how I was brought up.
Right.
I was always brought up to be the hardest worker in the room, and then if I am, then I'm in the wrong room. So it's all about branding, man.
Okay.
It's money.
How about the timing? That's me.
Okay.
You got to be good at what you do, whatever it is. You can't not be good at it. So you got to do the reps. You got to put the hours in.
10,000 hours.
I mean,
the old adage.
I mean, that's a fair way of looking at it, but I just feel like you need to perfect it enough that you can create a system. If you can't write a system about what you do, you're not good enough yet. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you got to have a basic system. If you're trying to do that and you stop in the middle of it, you haven't perfected it yet, which means you're not ready. So I think you should be ready before you embark, because there's always going to be growth. Growth doesn't stop. It never stops. It's always going to evolve. So, but you got to be good at something, whatever it is. You just have to be good.
And then how do you get people to buy into the system? Right, that's the next part.
Yeah, I mean, it's you have to. That's part of creating a culture for your business. If you want people to come in, they got to be sold that it works. It's got to work. If it works, they're going to follow it. Like if you can get them behind it, you can always tweak it. Okay. I mean, look at McDonald's. It's standardized. You go to McDonald's. I mean, you don't have to think. You just function. They created standardization.
True.
Everyone tries to mimic that, but the problem is everyone's not McDonald's. Everyone's product or service is not going to follow the system that McDonald's has. So you have to keep playing with it, tweak it, make sure it's perfect, and then 5 years later, with a crew you have, you may have to reinvest in it again because it's just times have changed. I mean, look at everything that happened before COVID. Look during COVID, and now look at the world now. That's 3 different phases. It was before, during, and after. Like, you've got to pivot a lot.
Which one do you like best?
Before COVID?
Yeah.
I mean, I sound like an old man, but I do.
I mean, it's got to be changed, though, right? I mean, I was listening to WIP this morning, and they were talking. The Dow Jones is like quadrupled in the last 25 years. Like it took till 1999 for it to hit, was it 10,000, I think? And then it's quadrupled in the last like 24 years. So, I mean, I think that a lot of what we have going on is driven by the technology, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, the system, right? Like, so systems always existed, right? McDonald's had a system a long time ago, and we wrote down, it was like in that binder that you were showing us.
Right.
And that was enough. But, like, I think the systems have to be established and then adjust to the market. You know what I mean? Like, I think there has to be a quicker market response almost.
So the technology changes how we do the systems because the technology got better. So I like the world before COVID, but I like the technology now because COVID forced us to have to adapt, and then we utilize technology differently. There was always meetings online.
Right.
Before COVID, it got a lot better during COVID.
I never attempted. I'm not good with that.
So technology is always going to change, but the core part of your system should evolve slightly with the technology, but it still has to evolve, but it still has to be the foundation of your business. Because if you're because remember, we're not talking about just making pizza or me coaching one person. We're talking about a business that you have to scale. So that means that other people have to do the stuff that we're good at.
Right, sure.
And have to do it efficiently and in a way that you're going to make money doing it. If not, you're not making money.
Trying to get somebody 10,000 hours on a shortcut almost.
I mean, I don't ever believe you could shortcut that. Like, I know people trying to hack it.
I mean, are the systems designed to put them on the path? I guess it's more designed to put them on the path that they want to stay on to achieve that then?
Yeah, but I still feel like no matter what you do, like I'm sure the first time Chris made pizza, he was, figuring stuff out and playing around with stuff. And like now he could just like do it with his eyes closed probably and even knows where everything is. Like that's how everybody gets really efficient at what they're doing. It's kind of like when somebody's in a meeting and they'll say like, oh, I suck. I got this proposal. I got to pitch somebody. And they don't know what to say. And it's like, well, if you don't know what to say, you're not prepared for the meeting because a meeting in dialogue in business is kind of like taking a test when you're a kid. If you study the material, you already know the answers to the questions that are being asked. Sure. So if you go to the meeting and you're not prepared and clients keep stumping you, you're just not prepared because you haven't done it enough yet. So you're supposed to know what these questions are going to be before they're even asked. And if you're not at that point yet, then you're just not ready. And you have to work on those things so that you can do that.
I agree with that.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with him.
I mean,
you can.
No, I agree as well. Yeah.
I mean, the systems are great, right? We all have systems, whether it's making pizza, whether it's the mortgage process. The problem is the people behind the system. If those people don't have heart and they're not in it, you're never going to get anywhere because I can't replicate me, right? No. You take me out of here and what happens? Things don't get done the same way. You take me out of the mortgage process, things don't get done the same way. The hardest part about my job is training other people to be as efficient as they can in their workload realm position to have that same passion that we do in our businesses behind what they do. Because if you talk to somebody who's passionate about their business and you talk to somebody who doesn't give a shit, just like not being prepared for the meeting, you can tell the difference. And guess what? Your customer can too.
Sure.
So
now you're talking leadership.
100%.
Because the systems could be perfect.
Right.
But if we get the wrong people in the wrong seats, they're not us. Right. Like no one's going to outproduce us. We're good at what we do.
No one's going to be as passionate about what.
And no one's going to be passionate. Right. If someone gets a job, they're not passionate. Then here's the thing. It's our job as leaders to get them at like 95%.
Right. As close as you can.
As close as you can to perfect. Like we're striving for perfection. So we have to strive on the people that we bring in to say, yo, we want you to love this company just as much as we do. Like we want you to like some point move to some other state and start one of these. Like that's the passion you want to find. But you can't fabricate it. You got to build it. That's you got to build it and find the right people that you can work with because otherwise people just don't care.
Yeah. What's the best process to find? I mean, is it better you want to find them, right? But I mean, they're harder to find these days, I think.
I mean, I would say so. I think that's where culture starts to become.
So yeah, how do you nurture that?
Like that's where, depending on your business and what you're looking for, like a lot of companies now do assessments, doing personality assessments. They're really trying to find that right person. Mm-hmm. Plus, sometimes I kind of think it's like cooking. Like you're making something, you throw a little extra spice in there and it tastes great. You throw a little too much and it's a little bit off. And sometimes I feel like you do have to try somebody out. Like you got good vibes. They're the perfect personality. They take an assessment. You're like, oh, dude, you do a disc assessment. They're like, oh, this guy's going to be perfect here. Right. And he's not. Right. The next guy, he's almost at the perfect score that you want, but he's not quite there. And then he comes in and it's like, no, but he's the perfect employee because we're all human. And sometimes it's like somebody just like may not like the way we speak or our mannerisms or something. And sometimes they may be really happy that we're talking sports while we're working and it takes their stress down and it's a perfect fit. So sometimes you can't predict what it is. It just happens. Yeah. The point is you just keep trying, kind of like when you're making something, like you try the recipe until it's perfect. And then 5 years later, you mess around with it again to see if you can make it better. And if not, you realize it's just fine the way it is.
With what we do, what I've found is experience doesn't always make. Finding somebody who has experience in what we do, like on the service side, it's hard to get them to match the culture. The industry that we have, right? So it's a lot of I find that a lot of guys come from companies where they get beat up a lot, right? So they're used to barking, they're used to yelling, and that's not the culture that we have. So it's like when I talk to a guy and he's got 6, 7, 8, 9 years, I'm like, buddy, I got to have you come in and see if you can work with my guys. I can work with anyone. I don't know, because we have like a little bit more of a caring, you know what I mean? We're very much customer first, customer centric, and we're looking to get that done. Where like a lot of times, businesses were run because it's generational. What we do a lot of times, you step in second or third generation, it becomes more bottom line driven than culture driven. So it's hard to find that fit. It's almost easier for us to train from the ground up.
Right.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, in the cleaning world, it was almost, we started realizing it was almost better to bring in people that actually didn't clean before, because you can actually mold them and educate them the way you want. So, I mean, I think it always depends on the industry. I also think it depends on ownership. I mean, some people, it'd be nice to have people with experience. I think it's better for offices, clerical, administrative work. I feel like sometimes, like in the trades, hands-on stuff, sometimes it's better to train them yourself. I mean, to get a kid out of VOTech or maybe went to a trade school for a couple of years, doesn't really have a lot of bad habits yet. But I've also met other people like, I don't want guys like that. I need guys that have been around. But again, that's someone else's business. But maybe for someone else, it's like, you know what? I want the younger kids. I want to mold them in something I have. I know I'm going to get so many years out of them. Sure. And they're going to probably go off on their own. But here's the thing. That's fine too, because I got a pipeline. And whatever works for any other specific business, I mean, it's whatever works. There's no right or wrong.
Even if they go out on their own, man, I mean, you were able to write a better system, right? In the time that you had them, if you track all that information.
Well, it's networking. Think about it. How many guys that you can think about? How many guys if you had them come here, and these guys leave the area and start pizza shops because of you. Like now, you have a network of fellow pizza owners like all over the place that you can contact. Like it's the same with the trades. Like I mean, we did it with cleaning. We had people leave; they start their own thing. It's like you don't want your people to leave, but it's nice to know, like, hey, wait a minute, I got like 5 different girls that are starting their own business. It's even better to know that, listen, they're copying what I showed them.
Right. And they're successful.
So that means that what we have actually works.
I can use them as a sub, right?
So it's kind of like, it's kind of flattering to have somebody copy your stuff. So it's like, okay.
You know what imitation is the greatest form of flattery?
I mean, sometimes it could be. I mean, it could also piss you off taking a piece of your business. But, I mean, listen, we're in competition too. But I mean, you could look at it 2 different perspectives and either get mad about it or get happy about it. But in reality, it's just progress. I mean, it's what's going to happen anyway. I mean, every guy that starts a trade like this, any contractor, he came from working from somewhere. I don't meet too many kids that come out of high school and start contracting on their own. Like they got to go somewhere first.
You got to find out that what's out there before you're driven to do something else, I guess.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because I know you're going to have an opinion on this. Networking, legacy or digital?
Man, I'll tell you. I like the legacy, but it's going to change. It's just what it is. I think when I first started doing that.
Let's talk about legacy for those that don't. I mean, because we run in a certain circle where that's a common term.
Well, the old school way of like going to meetings and having structure, is going to get replaced by the more social media version of it that's not as structured. But when I first started doing networking, there wasn't a lot of networking organizations.
Okay.
So if you were involved in something, you had a chance to shine and build a network right away. Whether it was a paid group or something like a chamber or just a group of guys that like were from an association decided that they were going to meet. You fast forward to now, you have multiple structured groups, multiple free things. Even chambers of commerce have multiple networking groups within the chamber. They have the basic chamber. They have a business owners group. They may have a political activist group. Like there's a lot of stuff out there.
Nonprofit group, and then subgroups that are seated inside of the.
So then you have that. Then on top of that group right there, you're in them. Then you go online and you're in an Instagram, a Facebook. You're one of those groups. Post TikTok videos, so you're following that. So you get to the point now that you wind up finding yourself in like 13 different groups that you don't even realize you're in.
You're down a rabbit hole.
And it's just to the point now, but here's the other thing. the same people in those groups. You're not alone. So when you go to multiple groups, so do the same people you know. They're in the same multiple groups. It starts to get so confusing. It's like, who am I referring to? And it goes back to the very beginning, though. That small group of people that you're in contact to, we talk a lot.
Yeah. We
talk a little bit. So like, that's who I'm going to be thinking about, because these other people, I can't keep up with them all. It's just impossible. So I think it's like anything else, it's evolving, and I think it's going to have to shake its way out at some point. I don't think we're there yet. I think a couple years ago when the whole world took a shift, it's like a lot of stuff went online. I don't think we've really found the answer out. But what I do know is the people that I talk to the most, they're the ones that are still connecting and making it happen. And the ones that you meet, it's like you're still not really, unless you're forced to have one-to-one type of conversations with them. If you're only seeing them at certain events, it just doesn't resonate. You get the card again. Like, I mean, I've been to stuff where I've had long conversations with people. I literally had a guy give me their card and said, "Oh yeah, dude, nice to meet you." And I was like, "Didn't we see this guy like 3 times before?" And I got people nodding. And it's like, and we're not the goofy ones. It's that guy who is going around and doesn't remember that these 3 people he spoke to, he doesn't remember anything about it. So that's really bad. Like, and that's what's happening with networking.
It's changed a lot, man. I remember when I first started to run businesses, Chamber of Commerce, that all they really did was you had your old money sponsorship, right? So if you were in that area and you had been there forever, you were, you advertised at the Chamber of Commerce, but we used it for getting demographical information, right? So that was what we utilized the Chamber for while we were doing expansions. You would call the local chamber, "Hey, can you send me the demographics," right? Because they had to handle all that stuff. They weren't, once a year they had a gala event, and that was about it. They just celebrated each other. So to watch, what's happened over the last 20 years, 25 years, where like these groups took a page from, this stuff that came about. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens as like the evolution. People don't want to be around people anymore. No,
they want to. I mean, there's online meetings,
and
then when there's something in person, it's like it's the same. You could see the same crowd that goes to the same stuff, which is going to dilute that at some point, or it's just going to create another sphere of people. That's like, well, this is the group that goes out, so maybe this is the group I should connect, and pass business back and forth with.
Yeah,
it's going to be one or the other, because it's as much as I like digital stuff, I just don't feel like you get to know people.
It's in person.
It's not very personal. I mean, it has its advantages. I just don't think it's, you don't have the same kind of conversation like we're having on Zoom. I mean, you can if we did it but we'd have to do it, in my opinion, I feel like we'd have to do once a week, once a week for a month would equal this meeting today. Like, you would have to do once a week on Zoom to even get close to what we're doing today. And even then, I'd still feel like this. You're not gonna, you can't duplicate. I mean, we can't duplicate Chris making pizza. I mean, we're watching, and we're having a conversation while we're doing it.
Live and direct, which we will not be sharing. Pizza making conversation is confidential.
that is true.
I agree with that sentiment. I even take it back to the first time that I met you in person. If you remember, you emailed me that next day, and you were like, "Who was the guy that I met last night?" I printed out the email, and it's on my desk as a reminder of who I am as a person. He's like, "Chris, no offense, you're okay on camera. You're okay doing the weekly meetings." He's like, "I met you last night, and you captured the room." And he's like, "I need that guy here more during the day." And I'm like, dude, I'm an in-person guy, right? I'm a legacy networking. Back in the day, business started with a handshake. Because I've got 2 things. My word,
a handshake too.
100%. But no, everybody wants to hide behind a camera or a keyboard or anything else right now, and that takes the fun away from sales. Yeah. I am the best when I sit down with people in person. They can feel my passion towards whatever we're working towards together, and somebody's full of shit or not. Because if I'm behind a keyboard and I'm telling you something, you're like, all right, well, I hope it's true because he's saying it. If I look you in the eye and say it in person, you're gonna be like, you know what, that guy's got my back. 100%.
It's easy to look at your shoes while you're on Hide behind a screen.
It's certainly, or I had my camera off and Joey was not happy about that either. So you're right. You're right.
I mean, it's just, listen, it's something we got to get used to. It's not going to go away, but I just feel like for the people that just like step outside of their office or house and go to things, I just feel like they got a leg up. I'm not saying you can't do it the new way. I'm sure there's people out there killing it. I mean, probably depends on what industry you're in, but
Yeah.
I don't know too many people that are going to get a mortgage from somebody they're talking to on Zoom, though.
Well, the other
Just
side
saying, I
is-
mean, it's like, I feel like that's personal.
100%.
And I feel like they're like,
100%.
oh yeah, come to my office. Or if Chris says, you know what, don't worry about coming to my office. I'll come to where you are. And then the person will be like, oh, and the other guy's like, well, we'll set up a Zoom call. I'm like, dude, Chris said he's going to get a car, come over here. Like, I don't know. I want to talk to this guy then because he's coming to me. Like, it's.
Depends on what you want out of networking too, right? So are you going for end consumer or are you going for relationships? Right? Because
You're right.
end consumer might be easier to find in the digital form. If that's
You're
all
right.
you're doing. If you're
That
just
makes sense.
hunting,
Right.
you'll bag a few if you do it that way.
Yeah, but I feel like the relationships you'll bag many.
If
So if you're going after the relationship, I feel like that's how you stay relevant because you keep building. Like they always say, like that corny expression. It's like your network, your net worth. Sure, I
I
get
say
you.
that once a week, but
Yeah,
okay,
but I hear you. Like, but here's the thing, though: when you have relationships, it's more people that you have in your arsenal of people you can even pick up the phone. Like we can pick up the phone and ask each other questions.
about
Like,
Yeah.
were we doing that a year and a half ago? No,
because it's based off of your relationship.
because we started talking.
twice today already.
Yeah, exactly. But like once you start talking to people, you know who you connect with, who you can rely on,
Yeah.
who's going to give you the kind of answer that you want. Like there's always someone out there that's like, it's going to yes you to death. Like I don't need a cheerleader right now. I need someone who's going to give it to me straight. Like who am I calling? Like that's important. If you have self-doubt, if you're working on something, you may not want the realistic guy or woman. You want someone who's going to give you support. So you call that person. But when your network's pretty big, you have all those people you can tap
You can
into.
get whatever answer you want.
Which is good.
You want the right answer, or you want the one that makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Because I could give you both.
Yeah. You just gotta tell me what you need.
I can't give you both.
No, one trick pony over here.
I'm just not trying to make you feel better.
Right.
That's just not my job.
Talk somebody off the ledge, huh? Right? No, you will. You'll talk somebody off the ledge.
Depending who they are.
Depends on how
Sometimes it may be a good idea if they just kind of,
Sometimes you gotta fall. But I mean, even so, if you have the relationship here, right? So I have a relationship with Chris. Now, even if he can't get to somebody who needs a mortgage, and I'm like, listen, I see Chris all the time. Great guy, stand up. He actually does a bunch of stuff. You'd like him. He's a family man, right? Things that I know from having conversations with you. That also adds credibility.
Absolutely.
And it allows me to expand my sales process as well because I don't necessarily have to. So for me, I don't have to do as many in-home estimates as other companies do because even in a digital forum, when someone asks for a mover, we're recommended fairly often, to the point where when somebody calls me, they go, I decided I had to use you because so many people believed in you, right? And I said, well, I can come out and take a look, or we can look at it over the phone, whatever's easiest for you. And a lot of times, like they're comfortable, you know what I mean? Because there's such a comfortability there. And, a lot of those people for me, so it works both ways for me. I see a lot of people in person who stand up for me in a digital world. So I kind of get the opportunity to reap the benefits on both sides.
Very cool.
Yeah. So where's it go from here?
It's got to go up, right?
I mean,
Rates are going to drop. It's going to make mortgages better.
So let's talk about this because that's what you have to tell people so that they actually believe it.
It's what I tell myself at night, so I believe it.
But here's the thing, though, Chris. You and I have been around it long enough. We're in the historical average.
Yeah. I don't sell rates. I sell benefit. Half the times when I do a pre-approval, I don't tell the customer what the interest rate is because it doesn't matter. I go off of two things. What would you like your monthly payment to be? How much money do you have for closing? I back into the mortgage based upon those two things. I hit both of those goals. At no point did I discuss what the interest rate is. Why? Because stereotypically, people are going to think, oh, we're in a high interest rate environment. Whatever number I give them is going to be, elevated over to the point where they think the rates are. And it's no, I don't want that. But wait, I just gave you a 7.25, but you already told me, this is what your monthly payment is and you're comfortable with it. So if I told you that was 6.5, would you have still said the same thing? And they don't have an answer for that. So I don't really care about the rates, to be honest.
Well, and
So
plus,
you're selling them what they want, giving them what they need.
Absolutely. You have to. You have to.
Basically how you're supposed to do it
if
anyway.
you need money and you don't have it, you have to pay what they're charging for.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the other side.
Yeah.
We're well within the historical average of
I am
what
the
they
money.
charge for.
Correct. Yeah. If you look over the last, 30, 40 years, the average interest rate's like 11%. We're in the 7s.
Yeah.
We're still under. Okay, so we had a couple years where I was slinging 2.75. That was fantastic.
Once in a lifetime.
Love that. Wouldn't have Saucey's without that, to be completely honest. But now we're in a more normal time frame, and it's getting the media out of it.
Sure.
And allowing people who know numbers to talk about numbers. Like, I'm not selling steak knives here. I sell benefit. You're looking for a mortgage to stay in this box, I'm putting you a loan in that box. If you choose to go over that, that's your choice. But the interest rates don't matter. Everybody out there in mortgages who's focused on the interest rates are not going to be here for long. And they haven't gone through the ups and downs, the waves. I would say this is my 4th wave. I started in 2010.
Yeah.
I've seen the 16s, the 19s. We saw COVID. It's the same thing. You got to squirrel away money when you're making it. And then when you're not, it's tough, You got to just eat pizza for dinner.
That's it.
Good thing I can make it.
What's business growth look like?
Well, they always say an election year makes people change their scope. And I think about it like this. Look here, you just got to adapt. Whatever's going on, you should just look in the mirror and look at your business and say, what's working now? What's not working? I mean, you always want to plan and forecast stuff out. But I feel like if you're always pivoting, looking for a different revenue stream, kind of looking a little bit further out, but not too far, and you work it, like I said, outwork everybody, you can have growth. I mean, but some businesses, depending on what happens with the election, the economy goes a certain way, some businesses are going to suffer. Like it's what happens. And then you have to make a decision. Do you get out? Do you
get out or do you get market share?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's always going to be an option. It's always going to be in your head about like what to do, but it's the ones that kind of just freeze and don't do anything. I mean, it's like there was a guy, he was in real estate when 08. Was 08 the crash? Yeah,
Yep.
08.
Oh yeah.
So we're coming out of 08, and he starts doing all these short sales.
Yeah.
Because he studied it. And he wanted to figure it out because he knew that it was going to be a problem. He was an older guy, and guess what? He was crushing it because other people either, all I heard from realtors was it's too hard to do that or it's not going to wind up closing. And I'm thinking like, well, this guy's able to do it. So either you don't want to learn it or you don't have the patience, but then you're not going to be a realtor much longer because, you have no money coming in. So I feel like every industry's got an opportunity somewhere to do something, and you just have to make it happen. Just like COVID, like you had 6-pack places are selling like slushies, which you could never go anywhere and get an alcoholic drinking and walk out the door with it.
Right.
But like,
Not in this state.
yeah, but apparently you could.
Yeah.
So it's like you just have to adapt and think about it. Like you always got to keep, thinking about where you can go and what you got to do. And I think there's growth for everybody. But yeah, maybe a little bit slow.
Well, if you're not growing, what are you doing? You're dying.
You're dying. Yeah.
Point blank.
Giving it away.
Right.
Yeah.
And like that's why I love this business because there is such a need for growth. And everybody who thought they're going to do the same amount of work that they did last year and they're going to make money this year, I laugh in their face.
Yeah.
It takes 10 times what I did last year to be successful this year.
I get it.
And they're like, why? And I'm like, because that's what it takes. You're either dealing with client issues, you're dealing with property value issues, home inspection issues. It's nuts.
Moving companies are closing left and right.
I'm sure you see it all the time. And I'm sure they're undercutting each other as well.
There's a little bit of that trying to go on. I mean, we value our service though, right? And like we kind of stand on that ground. And
right.
If we don't get this move, we'll definitely get the next one if they went for a lower price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've had an opportunity with the networking, with going the more legacy route than the digital route in the beginning. We've gained market share.
Right.
We're a company that's in its 4th year that's over 70% repeat referral.
That's huge.
It's didn't happen by mistake.
Right.
I had a great time today, guys.
Me too.
Had a blast.
Absolutely.
You want to weigh in? Do you have a preference?
I don't know. They're two different kind of pizza. They're both great.
Two different kinds.
There's two different kinds. I don't know, man. It's like
You wanted savory. I
so
gave you
here's the
savory.
thing. I like getting like two pies, and one's conventional and one's a little different.
Yeah.
I like going back and forth, but I like eating pizza. But they're both phenomenal.
Appreciate
Like,
that.
but I mean, I'll always go conventional if I have to pick, just because it's just.
Solid conventional pie.
But
I'll get it. See, pepperoni
I would
goes.
say the pepperoni's banging. So I mean, it's better
The
than
kids
that.
would say it slaps.
It slaps.
Oh, it
slaps.
slaps.
It's definitely a slapper. There's a lot of Riz in this pizza right now.
I don't know anything about Riz, but I heard that it slaps.
I don't know Riz and slaps. We got any more? Because I don't know what that is.
There's plenty. I mean,
First thing I'm gonna do is go home and ask my daughter.
we
Like,
hire 20-year-old kids. He
What's
serves
slaps?
20-year-old.
100%. They're like, this pizza's pressure. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's going to blow? They're like, nah, man, like, it's pressure. I was like, all right, I'll take it. It's pressure.
Yeah, that's good.
and this is the college crowd, right?
This is the college crowd. Pressure is
For
good.
some reason, when we were at Penn State, I don't think anyone used these big words.
Nobody had these words to say college.
Nobody had this.
Nobody was talking like that.
Yeah,
They were like,
dude, it's good.
that pizza was delicious.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. It was awesome. Like,
How was it?
Right, well, that's
There's a lot of that too.
Yeah, we get a lot of that around
There's a
here.
lot of that.
Love it.
Love it.
Now you got to break out a dictionary to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, just Google it.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you guys stopping by today.